He shoved me into the trunk, slammed it shut, covered me with a blanket. I kicked once pure reflex. "What the hell are you doing?" Frederick leaned in, his voice low but shaking. "Please, ma'am. Stay quiet. You need to see this. Trust me." It was 8:12 a.m., March 3rd. We were in front of Blake's new house in Fremont. The same house I helped with the down payment 2 years ago, $48,000 to be exact. I froze, my knees bent, body twisted. I clutched my purse like it would anchor me. I didn't speak again. Not because I understood, but because something in his voice scared me more than the trunk. I heard heels on gravel, then Natasha's voice chipper. Too loud. He told her the dress code changed last minute. She bought that hideous thing for nothing. A man chuckled. Then Blake. "My son. Just make sure she stays out of sight till the paperwork clears." I stopped breathing. I didn't cry. I didn't gasp. I bit the inside of my cheek so hard I tasted blood. People say family over everything. Fine. But if it's family, why whisper like criminals? Why need me hidden to move forward? I'd told my cousin Ruth the night before. I felt off about today. She laughed it off. Said, "You're just nervous. No one sidelines their mom at a wedding. She was wrong. I was wronger. I hate how still I stayed. How quiet. I'd seen little signs, Natasha wanting to handle our joint tax stuff. Blake brushing off my questions about the house title, but I wanted to believe I was overthinking. Now, inside that dark space, every missed red flag blinked like neon. If they really had good intentions, why was I in the trunk of a silver 2014? A cord through the crack, I saw something move, too familiar, too fast. And I knew I couldn't unknow it. Not anymore. Shoes scraped gravel. Someone laughed. Then Blake's voice flat, practiced. "We'll keep it clean until the title clears." She thinks it's still in her name. I went still. My mouth was open, but no air came in. That was my son. My own blood. Talking like I was a box to move or a lock to pick. Natasha said something I couldn't fully catch, but it ended with, "After the honeymoon, we'll change the account access too." There it was. That's what this wedding was to them. A shift. A moment to complete the transfer, not just of property, of control, of me. I remembered April 11th last year I wired $37,500 from my Chase account to cover the roof replacement on that house. Blake had asked. Said Natasha's parents were tight right now, and he didn't want her stressed. I'd said, "Okay, no problem." I didn't ask for it back. I didn't even mention it again. Maybe that's when they knew they could do this. If they were family, really family, why not just ask, why whisper in gravel driveways? My lawyer June once warned me, "Lenore, stop assuming shared blood means shared ethics." I'd laughed. Now her voice played back like a warning I ignored on purpose. And still, I felt stupid for thinking they'd include me. I'd even bought new shoes. Size 7 wide black patent heels from Kohl's, $49.99. Wore them in the trunk like a fool. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I just gritted my teeth so hard my jaw hurt. Then I hated myself for a different reason. I'd noticed little things months ago. Natasha controlling who picked up my granddaughter. Blake redirecting mail to be easier. I had a whole drawer of little things back home. That drawer, my hallway file cabinet, bottom shelf. Blake thought I forgot what I signed. He had no idea what I'd saved. I got out quietly. No screaming, no questions. I nodded, thanked Frederick, and walked the 5 blocks home. It was barely 9:15 a.m. I remember that because my neighbor, Mr. Kent, was walking his bulldog and waved. "Big day today, huh?" I smiled, said nothing. Inside, I kicked off my shoes, sat on the hallway floor and opened the bottom drawer of my file cabinet. Past the electric bills, bank statements, birthday cards, from when Blake still signed Love Mama's Boy. There it was, paper-clipped yellowed a bit at the corner. Temporary transfer of title pending refinance, dated August 14th, 2022. I held it like it might bite. I remembered that day. Natasha called me while I was at CVS picking up heartburn meds. She said the bank needed me to sign something just to qualify for a better interest rate. I was in line. The paper came by email. I signed it on my phone. They promised it would switch back once approved. It never switched back, and I never followed up. I didn't want to seem ungrateful. They'd just had a baby. I told myself I was being generous. But looking at that paper now, I saw the fine print I didn't read before transfer valid for 12 months unless revoked by written notice. Ruth called while I was staring at it. "Are you okay? You sound off." I didn't lie. I just said I found something. I think I gave away more than I realized. She didn't ask what, just said, "Then take it back." "You're still breathing, right?" I felt a deep heat rise in my chest. Not anger. Shame. I'd ignored signs, pretended I didn't see Natasha rolling her eyes, or Blake saying, "Let me handle the grown-up stuff." I'd made excuses for them so long I forgot to keep receipts. But the date on the paper mattered. It expired tomorrow, August 14th, 2023. And I still had time to write something they wouldn't expect. I showed up early. My dress was pressed the night before pale blue with little buttons down the front. I hadn't worn it since the church auction back in April. It still fit. My hands were steady. My smile wasn't. The brunch was at Pelham's on Main, that overpriced place where you pay $19 for eggs and a smile from the waiter. I sat at the far end of the table. Natasha's mother barely looked my way. The napkins were folded into little swans. Someone had printed name cards. Mine said Lenore. Groom's mother, like an afterthought. I heard Natasha whisper to her sister, "Let her stay visible today. After tomorrow, she's gone." I didn't flinch. I just sipped my coffee and cut my chicken. But my fork stabbed the plate harder than it needed to. I don't think they expected me to show. And if they did, they expected tears. Or maybe some weak little toast. I gave them neither. Later, while we were leaving, Natasha pulled me aside and handed me a pink folder. "Oh, just one last thing for the venue. Real quick. Just needs your signature." She smiled like she was offering gum. I opened it. I didn't sign. I paused, scanned. Page 2 had the same language as the August document. In consideration of family needs. Same trick. Different day. "Why do I need to sign this if the house is already yours?" I asked flatly. Her face shifted, but only a little. "It's just for the venue, Mrs. Lenore. Venue needs property rights." She blinked. I think it's about parking access or something." "If it was about parking, why not ask Blake?" I closed the folder, handed it back. "I'll have June look at it." "June?" she said too fast. "My lawyer? Remember?" She went pale. I didn't make a scene. I just walked out and texted June, found another document. "You free tonight?" June responded 1 minute later. "Always. Bring coffee and your gloves. This one's gonna sting." I looked straight at her and said, "I'm not signing today." She blinked fast. "Is something unclear?" "No. That's why I'm not signing." Blake walked over, trying to make it light. "Mom, it's just venue stuff like Natasha said." "Then why does it mention utility rights and permanent transfer clauses?" I asked. My voice didn't rise, but my jaw did tighten. Natasha clutched the folder closer, like I was trying to steal it. Blake muttered, "It's just temporary. You always say family means trust. Then why are there lawyers involved behind my back?" I looked at both of them. "If it's really family, why does it feel like a transaction?" They didn't answer. Natasha gave me a smile too wide. "We can go over it later. Enjoy today, Mrs. Lenore." I smiled back smaller. "Sure." I left before dessert. It was 1:34 p.m. when I backed out of the gravel lot in my silver Subaru Forester. There was raspberry jam on my sleeve from breakfast. I didn't even notice until I got home. At the kitchen table, I opened the folder again. Same phrasing, same tone, like they thought if they printed it on pastel paper, I'd go soft. I looked at that contract like it had teeth. Frederick, our old driver, had texted me 2 days earlier. For when you're ready. I hadn't clicked the file until then. It sat buried between grocery coupons and some dog video. I opened it. His voice came on first, then theirs. My son, my daughter-in-law, talking like I was a signature away from vanishing, and I'd almost given it to them again. I paused the audio, breathing shallow, then called Frederick. You were right, I said. He didn't gloat, just said, it's not just what you heard, it's what you missed. Play minute 0452. My thumb hovered over delete. Then I tapped play. The audio crackled for a second. Then Blake's voice came through flat, like he was reading a to-do list. We'll finish this by Sunday. Let her think she's still part of it. After the papers, that's it. Then Natasha chimed in. You don't have to feel guilty. She's had her time. It's our turn now. She should be thanking us for handling this cleanly. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until the recording ended. My own name dropped in like a hurdle. Not Mom. Not even she. Just her. Like I was a task. I had already met June earlier at the cafe on Fremont Street, 6:45 p.m. sharp. She'd looked through the pink folder with me, flipping slowly, lips pressed. After listening to the audio, I forwarded it to her too. Her reply came in 2 minutes flat. Keep that original. Don't send it anywhere else. Not yet. She always spoke in short, clipped phrases when something was serious. I didn't ask why. I sat at the kitchen table after that, staring at the salt shaker. I remembered the day Blake cried in that same seat when he failed his driving test. He wanted a red Toyota Corolla back then. I helped him save for it. That boy disappeared somewhere, and I missed the moment it happened. If he really had everything under control, why still need my signature? Why need my name on anything? Why ask me to co-sign 3 years ago just for the credit score? I wiped my eyes and reached for my phone again. If they thought I was slow, emotional, easy, they weren't wrong. But they were late, because now I had a copy of the truth. And June knew it existed. The next morning, I picked out a plain black dress and called Frederick. I told him I needed a favor. He knocked once. That was enough. I opened the door at 8:12 a.m. sharp. He was in a gray suit, holding a manila envelope and a travel mug. Not coffee. He always drank hot water. Still don't trust caffeine, I asked. He smiled, stepped inside. Frederick used to practice law with my husband back in the 90s. Semi-retired now, but still sharp. We sat in the dining room, the one with the chipped glass bowl in the center. I laid everything on the table. The pink folder, the audio, the old refinance contract, and the title printout from June. He took his time. Read in silence. His only comment after 15 minutes, they got greedy. Then he pushed the folder aside, looked me straight in the face and said, "You have more power than you think. And if this goes public, they'll regret trying to push you out." I think that was the moment my chest finally unclenched, because for the first time in this whole mess, someone looked me in the eye and didn't treat me like a confused old lady or a burden. Just a person who wasn't crazy. I didn't want a fight, I told him. I just didn't want to be erased. He nodded. People who say it's just family stuff usually mean don't expose what we're doing. I picked at a chip in the table's wood and asked if Blake could really afford the house. Why was my name still on the mortgage? Why the cosign? Why the rush now? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Truth is, I'd seen small signs for years. Natasha shutting doors when I entered. Blake making jokes about Mom's memory when I forgot a dry cleaning pickup. I ignored them. Maybe I wanted peace too much. Frederick leaned back and asked one question before leaving. Do you want this handled quietly? Or witnessed? I didn't even blink. Witnessed. I already knew who'd be in the room. It was Maddie's 6th birthday. Sunday, 3 p.m. at the Rec Hall on Parkview Avenue. They'd rented a balloon arch and hired a magician $180 for 45 minutes. I showed up with a wrapped gift and a USB drive in my purse. No one looked surprised I came. Blake waved, but didn't walk over. Natasha gave me a quick smile, more polite than real. I sat near the folding table, where juice boxes and cake slices were being lined up. When it was time for the magician, they dimmed the lights. I walked quietly to the side toward the laptop, hooked up to the projector. June was helping with setup. I leaned in, handed her the drive, and said, "Play this instead. Trust me." She blinked, looked at me, and just said, "You sure?" I nodded. The screen lit up. No tricks, no magic, just voices. My son's first. Just let her think she's still family. Keep it calm until we get the signature. Then, Natasha. She's clueless. We'll have it done before she knows. No one moved. No one clapped. Maddie stood holding a balloon sword, confused. June walked over and whispered, "You want me to stop it?" I said. "Let it finish." I looked at my son then. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. And in that moment, I remembered every birthday I'd planned for him. Every one I paid for. Every candle I lit while he played in the yard. I should have seen it earlier. When he asked me for help with refinancing. When Natasha called me extra. But I didn't. I let it slide. Now I wouldn't. I stepped outside. Frederick's car was already parked by the curb, a silver 2011 Honda CR-V. I got in. We had a 4:15 appointment at the courthouse. I went home alone. No one called. The party ended early. The magician left without finishing his act. Parents shuffled out with their kids, whispering. One dad even said to his son, "No, you can't ask her for cake now." I stood by the window at home and kept replaying it, all the video. The silence, Natasha. Running Blake following. June texted me around 7:40 p.m. Honestly, no one knew what to say. I made coffee, but my hands were still shaking. I spilled some grounds near the sink and just left them there. The mug felt heavier than usual, and emptier. I kept thinking, was that really the best moment at a child's birthday? But if not, then when my niece Eliza called later, her voice was low. "Blake said you ruined everything." I didn't answer. I wanted to ask everything for who, because my idea of everything didn't involve schemes behind my back. If he could pay for that whole party, why did he need my deed to begin with? If she was family, why did her plan begin with erasing mine? I felt the guilt crawl up right then, because deep down, I'd seen signs. I'd laughed off comments, avoided asking too many questions, maybe because I was afraid of what I'd hear. Frederick's envelope sat on the table, untouched. Then came a knock. Not the lawyer this time, Blake. I stood behind the door, hand on the knob, listening. Blake's voice cracked a little. "She's gone. Packed up last night. I didn't know what she was doing." His knock was soft, not like him. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Just 5 minutes." I didn't move. He shifted his weight on the porch. I heard it. "Mom, I messed up. I know that now, but it's done right. Can we just move on? Start fresh." That word fresh. Like I hadn't been bruised. Like the papers and lies and silence could just evaporate if we agreed to forget them. "Why'd you need my deed if you could afford a $630 birthday party at the Lookout Inn?" I asked through the door. Silence. "If I'm family, why did you two start with threats instead of a conversation?" I added. Still no answer. My neighbor Carol from next door peeked out when she saw his car. "He's still out there," she later asked me. "You're kinder than I'd be." I would have let the sprinklers do the talking. I smiled, but didn't laugh. I didn't feel kind. I felt small. Part of me wanted to open that door and grab his face and say what happened to you, but I didn't, because part of me remembered all the signs I'd swallowed. Every don't worry about it every time I downplayed my own gut. And this wasn't about revenge. It was about not abandoning myself again. Blake spoke once more, softer this time. I miss her. And I miss you. I placed my hand flat against the wood. My voice was even. I'm okay, Blake, but not with you inside. I turned the kettle off. The whistle had been going too long.